The bullets and the punches and the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcome should be. Well, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody is having a great week. You guys in the comments are freaking amazing. I think some of you were even in the comments before we logged into StreamYard tonight. Like, I jumped on about an hour in advance just to set up the streams. And as soon as I set up the stream, some of y'all were already there. Like, I was downstairs eating my pizza, finishing dinner, and y'all are just here chilling. Incredible. What an audience. What a group of people. Yeah,
I want pizza, but I'm on a diet. Mrs. Nama's put me on a diet, so I don't get pizza very often.
I've been sitting over here eating Valentine's candy.
Oh, I'm not going to get any Valentine's candy. I can tell you that. She's got me on a diet.
No, folks. I think are going to have a fun show tonight. I think we've got some fun stuff to talk about. You guys may have seen a teaser video that I put out late last night, and it wasn't really meant to be a teaser video for the show. It was just something I was thinking about at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I scheduled it to post this morning. I think about the Streisand Effect. We're going to talk about it because I'm pretty convinced that there was a decision a very long time ago to use this incredibly important tool to start the process of waking people up. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk an awful lot about what happened today in Congress, because I don't know if you know it or not, but Pam Bondi was up juking and jiving and dipping and ducking and doing all the things in Congress.
She was
today.
throwing haymakers as much as she was ducking and diving too.
Yeah, she was throwing haymakers left and right. And I think I have a perspective, and I'm really curious to hear what Nom and SK think about this as well. I'm pretty convinced that she was there for a reason, and I don't think it was the reason that people were expecting. But it was pretty cool to watch. But before we do that, we probably need to do a tech check, because I think I broke the stream to Rumble earlier, and we just need to make sure it's working. It's working.
We're good. We're
All
there. Right. We don't have the API. We've got the wrong key, and the stream key expired, so we had to replace it, and we grabbed the wrong one. So we're not getting the Rumble comments here into StreamYard, but I'm watching on my phone. We can't see the Rumble rants in StreamYard anyway, so I always watch on the phone to see them. By the way, a little bit of housekeeping. Super chats are open. Rumble rants are open. And by the way, we now have memberships open in both YouTube and in Rumble.
Ooh, I didn't know you had Rumble set up.
Yeah, well, that's been set up. We actually have, I think we actually have 2 or 3. I think we have 2 or 3 subscriptions in Rumble, and we had 2 people who gifted subscriptions. If you did that, you're gonna have to tell me what to do with it, because I don't know what to do. If you're gifting a subscription, does that mean we can give it to somebody else? I don't understand how that works.
Doesn't it like automatically assign it? Is it like on other things? Like when you gift, it automatically assigns it, like on TikTok?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Wait, are we not on X?
Wait, we're not on X? We better be on X. Hold on, let's check. We need to do a tech check. Sorry, guys. We need to make sure we do this tech check. Make sure we get it right. And Joanne Freeman, you are going to hear my thoughts on Bondi. I promise. I promise. I just have a slightly different perspective of what happened there today. But we'll get there. Hold on. Are we live on X? I don't think we are. Uh-oh. Why are we not live on X? Should we just continue? Hey, someone post over on X, SK, if you can, on the X account, and just make sure you just post the URL to our YouTube, and just have people go to YouTube to watch.
We are not live on X right now.
Robert Bouchard says you're on X. Okay. Well, that's really weird, because I'm not seeing
live.
But whatever.
All right.
We'll continue.
Yeah, it says we're live.
All right. Yeah. Garden to Grid says we're live. Oh, another really cool announcement. One of our incredible P0s guarding the grid reached out to me and has put together what I think is probably one of the best buffer videos I think I've ever seen. absolutely incredible, but I can't show it to you yet for a couple of reasons. One of them is because we don't yet have the license for the music, and we're trying to get it, and we hopefully will. But I can't wait to show you what he put together because it is awesome. It's fantastic. Although guarding, we're probably going to have to shrink it down a little bit because 3.5 minutes is pretty long, but we'll figure that out. I'm excited to show you guys this. We've got some incredibly talented people as a part of this audience, and I think we're all blessed as a result of it. Folks, we actually have some good news because believe it or not, we are winning. We're winning. And as much as you may not like it, we're still playing the we're winning baby Trump patriotic.
Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. Come this around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. Come this around.
We're winning. A lot of incredible news came out today. Did you guys hear the job numbers? Did you hear about it? Holy moly. See, we've been told that Donald Trump's economic agenda was going to destroy the economy, that we were going to be in a recession, moving into a depression, that all of the tariffs were going to send inflation through the roof, that jobs were going to tank, that Donald Trump's plans were going to ruin the economy. And yet every single time these idiot experts get in front of a camera and make a prediction about what the job numbers are going to look like, they always end up with egg on their face. At some point, we will learn to stop listening to the quote experts because these idiots don't know what they're talking about. So let's kick off the We Are Winning section. Nom, can you play Winning One? Just so you guys get an understanding of what happened today when the Bureau of Labor Statistics released their jobs report for the month of January, because it's pretty incredible. Not only is it incredible.
Payrolls for January coming in twice.
You got to tell me when you want me to play.
Let's play now.
Okay. Because you said play and then you kept talking.
I know. I was trying to fill the void.
All right, go.
On-farm payrolls for January coming in twice expectations at 130,000. 130K. That would be the juiciest going back to April of last year when it was 158.
130,000 jobs. Well, that's weird because we were told by the experts that it was barely going to hit 68, and yet it came in at 130,000 jobs. In fact, according to CNN, what's this? I don't know if I've read this article. What does it say?
It's the same thing. It's exactly what you're getting ready to say. They're expecting more of the same. Tepid growth, limited. Unemployment number is going to remain the same. It's going to be subdued. It's going to be about $50,000 a month range. Yeah. So I mean, basically, they were just saying, and then it doubled that, more than doubled that.
It doubled it, more than doubled it. But here's the kicker, though, because the truth is actually buried deeper into the report. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but one of my favorite economists is a guy by the name of who?
E.J.
Antoni. And what job does E.J. Antoni now have? Does anyone know?
He works. I don't know. He's got a new big boy job.
He is now the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You see, one of the things that EJ, and I see SK's eyebrows raised because she knows I've been talking about this guy and I've been using his statistics and his data for a very long time because he's one of the only people throughout most of the Biden administration that was talking about the inflated job numbers that we were experiencing. And he was talking about this thing called the birth death statistic, which is basically the way that the old BLS was inflating job numbers. They were using an algorithm, a calculation to assume the amount of new businesses and businesses that were failing. And they were basically just making it up. Because the problem that the BLS has had for a long time is they send out these surveys out to these companies and nobody responds to them. So they basically put themselves in a position where they just had to start making it up. Like they had no idea what they were doing. They were just pumping a bunch of jobs into the Biden economy and making it up. And he was talking about this for years. And because of the work that he did identifying the problem, the Trump administration recognized his value and fired the old BLS leader and hired him. So he's been the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics since I think about August, maybe September, somewhere around there. And you're starting to actually see the truth come out about jobs. So let's kind of go through a few of the posts that EJ Antoni released today on X, because you're going to get a real sense of what is actually happening in the economy. And this is really important, folks. You have to know this, because you're going to talk to idiot leftist and half paying attention Republicans who are hearing nothing but lies and propaganda about the economy. They have to understand that Donald Trump and his agenda and his administration have radically transformed the U.S. economy, and they did it almost overnight. Almost overnight. Can you pull up? Is it winning one? Yeah, let's pull up winning one.
It's winning two.
Okay. Is there? Yeah, winning two. All right. So winning two. This is EJ Antoni. During Trump's first year in office, January 25th to January 26th, native-born employment rose 840,000, while the number of foreign-born workers employed fell 97,000. I can't overstate how important this particular statistic is. For almost 6 years, going all the way back to 2018, if you look at the comparison between native-born jobs being created and jobs being created that were going to foreign-born workers, 100% of those jobs for that six-year period were going to foreign-born workers. Americans were not being hired cumulatively for 6 years.
Do you have the federal employment?
Yes.
Because, well, so I'm glad you mentioned it. I was actually going to say the same thing, which is fascinating, because it's from the last 6 years, from 2018 until the end of 2024, if foreign-born workers were nearly 100% of the new jobs, and then we also know during the 4 years of the Obama or the Biden administration, same thing, the Biden administration, that almost all of the new job creation came from federal employees or government employees. Does that mean that the federal government was hiring foreign-born workers over native-born workers?
In mass, yes.
In mass,
yes, that's exactly what it means.
Amazing to hear. That's absolutely shocking information if you put it together like that.
Yeah, and with all of those federal jobs that were being created under Biden, that means more of your tax dollars are going to pay their salaries.
Deficit, spending, inflation, all of it all works together. Oh, and by the way, those foreign-born workers, you were probably in some meaningful way subsidizing their healthcare and subsidizing their housing, causing basically the unaffordability crisis that we live with in this country right now.
Well, let's go to the next one. This is a next post from EJ Antoni today. It says, this is the real story out of today's jobs report. Trump was handed an economy that was losing private sector jobs and adding government payrolls, but he successfully flipped the script. And in 1 year, all private sector growth while cutting government jobs. Look at that chart. Look at that chart. Look at the two bars on the left. They demonstrate what was happening in private sector jobs versus government jobs. The green bars are private sector jobs. The blue bars are government jobs. Do you see that? That is a 180-degree difference in just a year.
See, but here's this, the story that this tells is actually very different than the jobs numbers that came out today, which said 130,000 new jobs, because there was almost 175,000 new jobs in the private sector that were created, but it was offset by 42,000 government jobs that were lost. So we're cutting deficit spending here by cutting those government payroll, those suckling off the government teat and basically doing nothing. They're creating no productivity whatsoever in their government job at all. They're just sucking it out of us. So that 175,000 growth in jobs in the private sector was offset by saving us money. So the real story is much different than the 130,000 number.
We're going to show that here in a little bit, because we actually have some analysis, some brief analysis on on deficit spending as it relates to the Trump administration versus years prior. And it is staggering how well it's going right now. So in this next post, EJ Antoni says, number of jobs in the federal government has plunged under Trump, now down to the lowest level. And I love this. Checks notes. Since 1966. You read that. Folks, we are now operating under the lowest number of federal jobs since 1966.
By the way, all you ragged Republicans, that's what you call shrinking government.
That's right. When you talk about reducing the size of government, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's it.
To 1966 levels. And you know what's really cool about it is I don't know about you, but I have not noticed at all. I haven't noticed any change in my life whatsoever by losing 60 years worth of government employee bloating.
Well, when you account for removing red tape, it's probably actually running a lot more efficiently than it was before. We all know how government works, right? It destroys everything it touches. It's a disaster. In fact, listen, I will admit I spent about a year of my life as a contractor for Defense Logistics Agency, working next to GS whatevers. The most lazy people I've ever experienced working with in my entire life are federal employees.
That's right.
Like they did absolutely nothing. Contractors did 100% of the work, and all they did was count the days until they retired every single day. And I'm not joking. That is not an overstatement.
That's right. DJ Constructive, this is probably a little bit of a longer explanation. Maybe somebody can explain how every government job adds to the GDP because they want it to.
Yeah. Well,
it's that simple.
Yeah.
I mean,
government spending.
Yeah, that's right. They basically consider every dollar that the government spends as a net positive to the economy. So
Which
when
is
they
how Biden was propping up the economy.
That's exactly right. That's how government jobs are technically adding to the GDP because they're counting government spending as a positive to GDP and not a negative.
But what they're also doing to say government jobs add to GDP is it puts money in the pockets of government workers and then they go spend it out in the economy, right? That's they're accounting for that multiplier. There's an economic multiplier that comes from these types of jobs. Government jobs, I don't know what the multiplier is, but it is nowhere near the multiplier you get from a construction job or you get from building
it's about a 3-to-1 ratio
somewhere, right?
It's about a 3-to-1 ratio.
You're still going to have a positive multiplier to GDP from these government jobs because they are spending money. It's just a lot lower because that money's actually coming from tax dollars from deficit spending.
That's right.
And they're not producing anything.
Yeah, they're producing nothing of value at all whatsoever.
That's right. Their spending produces, and that's why they see about a 1/3 ratio of productivity when you pay a government employee than when you pay a company or when you pay a private sector employee. It's about a 3-to-1 ratio. All right, this next one is pretty simple, but it's incredibly important. One of the things that the Biden administration had buried in their statistics under the Bureau of Labor Statistics was the reality that while people were getting jobs, the jobs that they were getting were in many cases part-time jobs. And you were seeing people working 2 and 3 part-time jobs just to keep their heads above water. Since the Trump administration took over control again last year, we have seen almost 900,000. I think it's over 800,000. No, I'm sorry. Almost 600,000 full-time jobs created to barely 30,000 part-time jobs. That means that people who were surviving on multiple part-time jobs are now finding full-time work. That's incredibly important. People are actually able to feed their family by working one job now. It's nuts. And I don't know if I have this in here. Maybe we do. But yeah, we'll talk about the Steve Bannon situation. We'll get into Bannon. Nom was giving me a hard time about this because I decided to jump down that rabbit hole. And I
wasn't giving you a hard time. I was just like, ooh, you're picking a fight with the war room. I think there's something missing here. We're going to get to it.
Yep.
Everybody keep your powder dry on that one. Okay. Because we're looking into it. We're looking.
Yes, we are.
It looks super bad, super bad, but I want to know more.
Want to know more. All right, let's go on to the next one because I want to keep this going as we get through this. Where are we at? We're on 5. Yeah, we're on 5. All right. So this is EJ and Tony winning number 5. Well, looks like we finally have our convergence. Non-farm payrolls have been revised down so heavily for 2024 and 2025 while employment has jumped. Those two measures appear to be back in sync. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I mentioned that what the Biden administration was doing is they were using this birth death calculation to inflate the number of jobs that were being created. And then what the Trump team has had to do is go in and revise those numbers to correct them. So you're seeing massive revisions of previous months' jobs creations. And the Trump team is getting criticism right now saying that 1 million jobs just vanished out of thin air. Well, the thing is, folks, those jobs never existed in the first place. They weren't real jobs. They were smoke and mirrors that BLS, because of directives from the Biden administration, gave them, and the calculations they were using, they just created them out of thin air. So while you're seeing a fewer number of actual jobs in the economy, it's not because jobs have been lost. It's because they corrected the inflated numbers under the Biden administration. And that's what that graph was showing you. It was showing you the convergence of the actual numbers compared to what the non-payroll surveys were telling you. Do you see this? In a previous graph, this green line was like way up at the top because there was inflation happening. And EJ and Tony went in and fixed the problem that he'd been highlighting for years. And it's really important that we be able to see actual data on this. And this is what SK sent us earlier. So this is a one of the leftist, moonbat liberal accounts over there. And just like that, poof, 1 million jobs vanished because it's all theater to begin with. No, 1 million jobs vanished, you knucklehead potato, because they weren't real in the first place.
But also notice they don't mention the 1.9 million jobs that disappeared under Joe Biden.
No,
they had to revise their numbers by 1.9 million jobs at the end of Biden's term.
That's right.
And that was just for 2 years.
So in the comments, I have to ask a question. I love this stuff. I love talking about economics. I love talking about this type of data. I think this is the stuff that moves the needles in midterms. It's really boring though. Are you guys bored when we talk about this? Do you guys want to hear this type of analysis on our show? I know this is a new show. We're only at episode 51, but we care about what you guys want to hear. Is this the type of stuff that you want to see? Let us know in the comments, because if you don't, well, maybe I'll just do these videos for myself. All right.
Listen, until we get some response on this, we have to cover this stuff, because at the end of the day, when we get into midterms, we're not going to be talking about Epstein and pedophiles, right? People are going to be talking about what they're feeling in their pockets, their taxes. They're going to be talking about what they're paying at the grocery store, all the things that actually matter, the things that determine whether this country is in the right direction or not. Epstein bullshit lies is not one of those things. Just like, all the fake outrage and pearl clutching over ICE and all that stuff, that's not real. That's all smoke and mirrors. It's kabuki theater. This is real stuff.
That's right.
I have a list that was posted today by Caroline Levitt.
Maybe we should look at that here in a second.
I can just read it to you.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Nom, I'm also, while she's pulling that up, Nom, can you get image 5959 ready? It's not labeled properly, but I forgot to label it, but I want to talk about that one. Yep.
Okay, so we know that the Dow Jones surpassed the 50,000 level for the first time ever last week. The national median rents are now at 4-year low, declining for the 6th consecutive month. Mortgage affordability has surged to a 4-year high following President Trump's bold action to make homeownership affordable again. U.S. manufacturing activity expanded in January at the fastest pace since 2022, driven by growth in new orders and production. Consumer sentiment is now at a 6-month high. Third quarter GDP was revised upwards to 4.4% growth, showing that President Trump's economy is even stronger than originally estimated. Gas prices are averaging roughly 20 cents lower than last year. In 17 of the top 20 metro areas with the largest illegal migrant populations, home list prices declined year over year in January. American truckers and construction workers, both industries with high numbers of foreign-born workers, have reported large increases in pay as blue-collar wages grow at the fastest clip in decades. President Trump ended Biden's inflation crisis. Since President Trump took office, headline inflation has been running at 2.4% annualized, much lower than the 3% annual rate inherited from Biden. And core inflation has been running at 2.4% annualized, much lower than the 3.3% annual rate inherited from Biden.
That's almost a full percent. That's crazy.
And President Trump launched Trump RX, a transformative new government platform that gives Americans direct access to dramatically lower prices on common high-cost prescription drugs. And President Trump has secured trillions in private and foreign investments that are fueling job growth, innovation, and opportunity across every corner of the country.
Yeah. I mean, that list, it grows week after week. It continues to grow. And it is like the unsung hero of the Trump administration is what he's done to this economy. I asked Nom to pull this up because he was talking about this earlier. This graph, I think, is probably the most important graph that is going to have the biggest impact on the midterm elections. The average American's weekly paycheck adjusted for inflation shrunk by 4% under Biden. And understand this. This is adjusted for inflation, meaning they pulled the inflation out of the calculation. So you could see what a real number would look like without the over almost 30% inflation in there. Now it's estimated to have surged 2% during Trump's first year back at the helm. This, folks, is how you address the affordability crisis. This is one way to do it. This is an important method to help people start to feel like things are getting better. People are finding full-time jobs. And when they find full-time jobs, they're seeing their income go up. They're seeing inflation come down. They're paying less at the gas station. When they buy a home, they're paying a lower interest rate. When they go out and rent an apartment, they're seeing multi-year lows and rental rates or rental prices. I mean, literally everywhere in the economy, it is humming, absolutely humming.
And I think in Caroline Levitt's press conference today, she said that people should be expecting much larger tax returns. People are going to be getting more money back than usual.
Yeah, because they dramatically increased the standard deduction, and they continued the Trump tax cuts and literally gave people the largest tax cut in American history and then added on top of it. So people are going to see the largest tax refund that they've ever seen. And it's not coming in the form of a handout. It's coming in the form of actual tax cuts. Sure, there are some people at the lower ends that don't actually pay taxes that are going to get credits as a result of it. But people saw their tax brackets be reduced. They're seeing their deductions go up. They're seeing the ability to keep their own money in their own pocket be improved day after day under this administration. And that's honestly, that's the thing that's gonna make the biggest impact come midterms.
It is. Well, it will have an impact, but not as big of an impact if you can't get prices down at the same time, right? That's the next challenge. But something that Americans have to come to terms with, right? There are very few things that prices ever actually come down on. Energy is one of them. Retail items, prices aren't ever going to come down. Those corporations are not going to, make the profit margins that they've made and then come around and say, yeah, you know what, well, let's just cut that in half, or let's cut that in a third, for the good of it's just not going to happen. We know it's not going to happen. So we're going to have to wrap our heads around that. We have to figure out how to be more productive and find better options, I guess.
Well, wages are going up. So, I mean, if prices don't go up and wages do, you keep more money that way as well.
Agreed.
Sorry, I'm responding to DJ Constructive in the comments. I didn't want to pull this up. He asked a question. I know this is off the wall, but how's the rebuild of your house doing? It's going great. Just a little sidebar. We actually met with the builders today, and we walked through the pre-estimate meeting where they start asking questions like, what kind of cabinets do you want? What kind of flooring do you want? Just basic things so they can get an understanding of what to order, right, and how to build the estimate on. So it's going well. A lot more to come on that. It was about a 5-hour meeting, and I thought my wife was going to scream by the time she was done because her back was hurting. She was hungry. 5 hours is a long time for a stay-at-home mom to sit in a meeting.
It's so many decisions. By the time we were towards the end of building our house, I was like, I don't care. Pick one. I really tried to make another decision. I'm going to lose it.
Yeah. All right. And this is the last one, and then we'll jump to something else. So cumulative deficit for fiscal year 26 is 142 billion, or 17% lower than the same period in fiscal year 25. It's a comparison between the last 4 months of Biden and the most recent 4 months of Trump. It's still a long way to go, but we're literally seeing a 17% reduction in the deficit under Donald Trump. I mean, hello. That's what we're all begging for. That's what we have demanded. We want to see spending come down. We want to see the deficit come down. Now, spending may actually be going up a little bit, but you know what is causing this deficit reduction? Anybody want to take a stab at what's causing this deficit reduction? Higher tax receipts.
Yeah, and
Which,
tariffs.
So wait, So hold on. So you tell me that the Laffer curve is actually a real thing. That's actually a thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's this sweet
by the way,
spot.
there is a sweet spot. If you overtax, you're going to get less tax receipts, or you're going to get lower tax receipts. People are going to flee. Their money's going to go elsewhere. If you undertax, you're not going to have the tax receipts that you want, that you need out of the deal. There is a
Which
sweet
is
spot.
why the TCJA resulted
Mhm.
in record revenue for the United States. And when you show that chart, inflation adjusted, nobody believes you. I show it all the time. They don't believe it. And it says right there, inflation adjusted, and it resulted in record revenue for the United States. Didn't
Cool.
they vote on Trump's tariffs
They
today?
did.
In Canada, they did. Yes.
The Canadian
and
tariffs.
Massey and a handful of others crossed party lines to overturn Trump's veto on, because then they try to pass a bill or whatever, and he vetoed it, and they're trying to overturn the veto, I think is what the vote today was for.
I think to overturn a veto, it takes like 2/3, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think they just passed
this
the
is
bill to over.
216. Yeah, this was just a bill to overturn it, I think, because it was 216 to like 215. It was like one
Well,
person.
so then Trump would have to sign it anyway, right? He'd have to sign. He'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not signing that. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that a little bit more. I did see that as well, and I'm
Yeah.
not at all surprised to see Thomas Maxey. Oh, did I say Maxey? Sorry,
Well,
Thomas
that
Maxey
works.
Pad.
Maxi Pad.
Maxi pad, yeah.
He is a whiner. He needs
Oh,
some
this guy.
Midol.
This guy, let me tell you, I've always, and if you're a libertarian out there, I apologize, but I've always just like, they've annoyed the shit out of me. I have a bit of a libertarian streak to me, but it's like on the financial side of things. But outside of that, it's like useless.
And the liberty side, like
Useless.
the
Yeah,
actual
the
stay
liberty
out of my
side.
business.
But
Yeah.
you don't even have to be a libertarian to have those positions, because that's what the conservatives believe anyway.
Yeah.
So there
now.
really is no value for a libertarian in our society unless you want somebody who's just going to
They're-
like do the opposite of what the American people want them to do.
Masshole Maxi Pad. They remind me of CrossFit people. Like you always know the CrossFit people because they're gonna tell you. And like vegans.
Yeah, they'll
Oh,
tell
yeah,
you.
You're gonna
yeah.
know they're vegan because they will tell you, and they will tell you every opportunity they get. I feel like that's libertarians.
That is
Yes.
hilarious. All right, where are we going now? Oh, do we need to play? We need to play the buffer out because we are winning, folks. As much as they don't want you to believe it, we are winning. And if you don't believe me, baby, geed up American flag, Karate Kid Trump is going to remind you of that.
Around, nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best. Around, nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best. Around.
Winning. That's what winning looks like. Dressed up in an American flag, gi, doing karate chops to the deep state and the shadow people because we're winning. And we're going to continue to remind you of that. Where are we going next, folks? Because I was in a meeting all day, so I didn't really spend a lot of time paying attention to what was happening. But I hear that there was some absolute fireworks that took place today.
I put
Do
a
you want
whole
to do the
bunch of
Streisand?
videos.
Do you want to do the Streisand effect, or do we want to get into
Well,
the?
I think the Streisand effect. I think maybe it's important to define it.
Let's set it up because I think you're right. A lot of what happened in the last week or two, and actually the last year, is basically the Streisand effect. So define it for us, will you?
Yeah. Before we do that, so Doxy Mommy says, "Are they going to pass the SAVE Act?" The House passed it already tonight. They passed it, I think, by 3 votes.
They are going. The SAVE Act is going to pass the Senate. I'm going to guarantee it will pass the Senate, and I can tell because the way the Democrats are reacting and how they're pulling out all the same racist tropes, and women and black people can't figure out how to get IDs. They're scared. They marched all the same stuff out. It's going to pass.
Murkowski and Collins both said they aren't going to vote for it. And
Yeah, but-
Murkowski, they registered like,
McConnell said he's on board. It's going to pass,
oh, okay.
but they have to get over the standing filibuster first.
So
Yeah.
that's
We have a
basically
video
John
on that.
Thune. That is one person, John Thune, who is going to have to get out of the way and put it back into an actual filibuster. If the Democrats want to filibuster,
All right.
we should force them to stand in the well of the Senate and talk nonstop until they decide they're done filibustering. That has to
We're
happen.
here. We're here on this topic, so let's play this real quick so
Yep.
everybody understands what's happening. And PatriotDad, I don't know if you've seen this, SK.
I haven't.
So here we go. So this is Scott Pressler explaining what he is hearing is going on in the Senate related to the SAVE Act. And it's important to understand this, right? It's important to understand because we've been talking about for the last couple of months how absolutely useless and feckless Republicans in Congress are. And he's going to explain to you why.
Then we can get this passed for J.D. Vance's the 51 51st vote. But here, what's your name? James. James, here's the problem though. The problem is this is hard work. I have heard the senators simply don't want to do it because if they show that it can be done without 60 votes, then they are going to be expected to work tirelessly on every piece of legislation. And furthermore, the veil and the shroud of the 60 votes is no longer going to hide members of the Senate that will tell you to their face that they support the bill, but then secretly they don't want the bill to go through. This is going to do a lot of good for accountability and transparency by showing the American people it can be done without 60. And I think the senators, pardon me for saying it, are a little bit mad that we're taking away what they've been able to hide behind for hundreds of years, right?
I think there's a lot of truth to what he just said.
I
Yep.
think it's 100% right.
And
I think-
before
Go ahead, SK.
before midterms, I think that needs to happen. He's right on target. I think the American people deserve to know which members of Congress are not willing to pass the legislation and do the work. That's something that we need to know before we vote.
I also think that there is not a real possibility. I also believe that a lot of these senators don't want Donald Trump's agenda to be successful. And that's why they don't want to pass the SAVE Act. I think they want to see control of the House passed back over to the Democrats. And I think they want to see Donald Trump impeached. That's my opinion. And I'm going to stick by it because I haven't seen anything from about half a dozen of these people to change my mind.
Yep. Couldn't disagree with you at all on that front. I think that these half of the Republican Party is more than happy to watch Trump get imprisoned. And I mean imprisoned, right? Impeached, but I mean imprisoned because once he's impeached, the entire lawfare stuff's going to start over again. But not just on him. ICE agents, you're going to see his entire cabinet.
Us.
They're fine with this. It's
They're
going to be
calling
us.
for it to be on us.
Yeah, they are totally fine with this. So listen, it's got to be a full court press. And I saw today that Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has committed to putting all of his effort into seeing the SAVE Act pass the Senate. We'll see what that means. But just the reactions from the Democrats, because I saw the Congressional Black Caucus and just about every female that you could find that calls himself a Democrat out there is saying that this is Jim Crow 2.0. You know, it's basically an attack on your civil rights and your ability to vote. Guys, every single person who has complained about this had to have a real ID compliant identification just to be able to get online at this point, frankly. You can't even get online without one of these IDs because you don't have internet service, you don't own a house, you can't rent something, you don't have a phone, you can't do anything except stand out there and listen to birds chirp without a real ID compliant identification at this point, which is all you need. They're lying to you.
I mean, I don't have a real ID, but I have a federal ID because I'm Native American.
You don't need a real ID.
Nope.
Well, what I'm saying is the proof that they're demanding, that they're requiring in this, is proof of citizenship, is what you need to have a real ID compliant identification. You have to go through that entire process to do that, to have a real ID. You have to, if you're a woman and you've been married, you've changed your name, you've been divorced, whatever, you've had to prove this information already, or you don't have a compliant identification.
That's right.
In this country, you just don't.
I
don't
saw
have
some
a compliant
idiot.
identification, but it's okay. It's okay.
I saw some idiot post today, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but basically rattling off a list of the number of people that are going to be disenfranchised if this bill passes. And I think one of them was 21 million American women who can't find their marriage certificate. If I were to go downstairs right now and ask Patriot Mom where her marriage certificate or where our marriage certificate is, because I guarantee you I can't find it, she would. Now, we might be in a slightly different position because I'm not entirely sure if it was one of the things that were in our safe and were saved. It probably was because she's much smarter than me and she would have put it in there. But if you go out and you talk to 100 women and you ask them where their marriage certificate is, they're going to be able to tell you exactly where they put it 3 years ago, underneath of a newspaper clipping, tucked away in a shoebox. They know exactly where it is. They have to know where it is because nobody else in their household does.
That's exactly that funny post that I saw, and it says, like, literally the purpose of women is to know where things are.
Yes.
Yep.
I was cracking up. They were like, if I ask where it
It's my
is,
wife's
they're gonna
superpower.
say it was under this folder that you drew a bunny rabbit on when we were waiting at the airport to fly to your sister's house when she had her baby. Like,
It is their superpower. It is why when you go on Instagram and you see those videos with the narrative saying, I decided to mess with my husband today and go around the house and move all of his items. And they show them walking around the house and picking up a shoe and moving it 2 feet to the right, thinking their husband won't be able to find it because they're probably right, but the wife will because she knows where her marriage certificate is. She knows where all that information is. So these people are just lying to you. And why are they lying to you? Because they want to, and because they want to be able to cheat.
Yeah,
that's why
they want to be able to cheat. There's no other way around. I will remind you guys that CNN has had some polling, and I've got a video of this somewhere buried, but I'm just going to read it to you. Black voters in the United States of America, 76% of black voters agree that you should have a photo ID to vote. 76, 82% of Latino voters. 85% of white voters. This is not a 50-50 issue on any front at all. 73%, I believe, of registered Democrats believe you should have a photo ID to vote. This is a completely losing argument. So the question that I've got to ask these Democrats, knowing these statistics and these
and
polls,
some Republicans,
knowing these data points, who are you actually talking to when you complain about this? It seems to me like the only people that you're talking to are the illegals that you want to continue to be able to vote. And don't tell me they're not, because we know they are.
And it's also those NGOs that are funded by foreign money that are pushing all the color revolution shit because they're the ones that finance all of their campaigns.
That's right. That's right. But you know what's really fascinating about this, though? And I think one of the reasons why, Nom, you might be right that the SAVE Act will probably pass the Senate, not because they want it to, but because they have to, is because people, the American people, have been allowed to fester over this lack of action on the SAVE Act for almost a year now. And they are becoming increasingly frustrated, a lot like is happening with the Epstein files. And this brings up the Streisand effect. Raise your hand in the comments if you do not know what the Streisand effect is. Let us know.
Hold on. We've got a couple super chats that are coming on this topic. Folks aren't ready to move off this topic yet, I don't think. So Doxy Mommy, who's a P0, Doxy Mommy's here every week. She was late today, though. I saw you sneak in here, Doxy Mommy. I popped you up on the screen when you showed up, 35 minutes late. I don't know. We're not having any of that around here on the Patriot Source podcast. Doxy Mommy needs to be here on time. That's your lecture for the year. I know where mine is, but my marriage certificate has my married last name and my driver's license has my maiden last name, and I have voted for Trump 3 times. I don't understand what that means.
I don't either. Maybe there's like a discrepancy in the documentation. So, Doxy, send me a DM and let us know what you mean on that, and we'll get back to it.
Or Doxy Mommy, go to the DMV and make sure you've got a real ID compliant driver's license, because that's all you will need to vote.
That's right. And we had another one. We had another super chat. It really only comes down to conservatives not voting locally. Why nothing happens fast enough. I'm not voting. Oh, you are so right. I am so sick and tired of these beta Republicans who have been able to be convinced that things aren't happening fast enough. So they're just going to go take their ball. They're going to go home. They're going to go sit in the corner and they're going to whine and pout while they hand power of this country over to literal baby eaters. They're literally eating children. And that's who they want to hand the power over to.
Well, and we found out today in the hearing with Pam Bondi, or the whatever it was, that there are investigations ongoing in the DOJ over the Epstein files. So
we told you that.
Which is why there are still names that are still redacted.
That's right. Oh, and the other reason why names were redacted, this came up on Monday, and I did a video on this the other day. This came up on Monday. We brought this up because we were starting to hear rumors from people coming out of the skiff who were looking at the redacted names in secret, and they were coming out and they were saying, this is really weird. It seems like a lot of the people who were sending some of the worst emails to Jeffrey Epstein were in fact women, and not only just random women,
Victims.
they were some of the women who were claiming to be victims.
Well, and
Mhm.
like I said in the last episode, I've read a lot of these court documents prior to this Epstein files release BS. They've been out for a long time. And if you read them, you will find that a lot of these women, even though they were like victimized by Epstein, they were recruiting girls after they turned 18 and beyond, were recruiting girls from their high school saying, "Hey, I know how you can make a quick $200. You want to do it?" And these girls were like, "Sure." And they went and got victimized as well.
That's right.
Yep.
They were
Yep.
recruiting them. All right. So
And
the
yeah, so-
Streisand effect.
Real quick, there's an important one. We're going to get, I just want to make sure that they know Sally Sly. We're going to get to this because this is a thing. There's a Democrat in North Carolina who's running as a Republican so she can win that primary and then basically govern as a Democrat. She's not hiding it either. She's
Yeah.
openly saying that because she says the districts are too gerrymandered that Democrats don't have a an actual primary way to win. So I'm just going to win as a Republican. I'm going to trick you and make you think I'm a Republican, and then I'm going to be a Democrat. So she's basically lying to you. We're going to cover this. I think their primary is in North Carolina. It's like in a month or two. We've got some time on this, but
Yeah.
she's been pretty well exposed.
Yep.
Oklahoma is like 50% Republicans that are not Republicans.
Well, there's a lot of Republicans. That are
Okay,
not
Streisand
Republicans.
effect.
All right,
Streisand
Streisand effect. So if you don't, again, raise your hand in the comments if you don't know what the Streisand effect. This is a phenomenon that was coined the Streisand effect back in 2003. You guys may remember this, but Barbara Streisand got her panties all up in a bunch because she had some journalists and some photographers that were sneaking onto her property and were taking pictures of her mansion. So she decided to go out and file a lawsuit to try to stop them from doing it. And the result of that lawsuit was that a whole lot of people wanted to come photograph her house. Because the question that naturally is asked when somebody says, you can't look at this is, why not? What do you
touch
mean I
the
can't
red
look at it?
button. Don't touch the red button.
So because Barbara Streisand told people that they weren't allowed to take pictures of her house, she then for years had to deal with a constant stream of people coming to take pictures of her house. Now, how does that relate to what we're seeing play out with the Epstein files? So many of you guys did not know Nom and I going back to 2016. You didn't know us in 2018. You didn't know us in 2020. Most of you didn't even know who we were until right about the early part of 2024 when we started engaging on TikTok and making content during the campaign. What you may not know about us is that we were talking about the Epstein files 10 years ago. We were talking about the Epstein files, and I know SK probably was as well, 8 years ago. We were talking about this stuff for a very long time because the information has been available forever. But do you, Nom, do you remember what happened when we started talking about what would happen if you would go to some random person, a friend of yours, and say, hey, did you know that there is a global elite pedophile ring being run by the wealthiest and the richest, most powerful people in the world? What did they do? What did people say to you?
Well, then if you add on top of that, they like to talk about, their taste in young children and by calling them different types of pizza and food. And that's where you guys remember Pizzagate, where Pizzagate came from? That's where all this came from. We would be called psychos, right? They said conspiracy theorists. They said we're nuts. They said we're crazy. And it turns out now everybody on the left is like, oh my God, they're actually eating kids. And they're using the Pizzagate's real. Yeah. We weren't lying. We weren't making that up.
Nom, SK, listen, SK, this question's for you. What would have happened 6 years ago if you would have gone to one of your friends that loves to read all the supermarket tabloid magazines, they read People magazine, and you start telling them that Jay-Z, Beyonce, Eminem, Naomi Campbell, the Kardashians, and a host of other Hollywood celebrities that your friends, for whatever reason, have been convinced that they need to become entirely invested in the success and the life of those people. What would happen if you were to go to them and say, hey, did you know that they're associated with a dude who's running a global pedophile ring? What would happen?
Well, I mean, again, conspiracy theory, but my friends know me and they know that I said that stuff 6 years ago. So
Well,
Mine
I
do
know,
too.
I know that I tried to tell people that, and I got laughed at. I got ridiculed. I got told you are absolutely insane. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a lunatic. What do you think would have happened if you would have gone to your friends at work, your coworkers at work, and you said, "Hey, did you know that Katie Couric and George Stephanopoulos and a whole host of the media talking heads that you pay attention to every night, watching CNN or MSNBC, or journalists that you read in the New York Times, or professors that your parents or you learned under at Harvard, or scientists that you've been reading about in whatever science magazine, Stephen Hawking and all these people? What would have happened if you would have gone to those folks and you said, did you know that these guys are palling around with a dude who has a thing for underage girls? What would have happened? You would have been laughed at mercilessly. You would have
We
been
were laughed at,
we
actually,
were.
mercilessly. Yeah.
We were.
Not would have. Yeah, we were.
Sally on YouTube says, Julian Assange let all the Pizzagate stuff out in 2015, 2016. I was glued to Alex Jones during that time. LOL. Listen, that
That's
was
right.
back when Alex Jones like actually knew what he was talking about. Sometimes now I'm like, who are you? And what
Yeah.
did you do with the actual Alex Jones? Because the stuff you used to say was way better and
That's right.
also more truthful.
So the point I'm trying to make is that we have known for a very long time that the only way you are going to be able to get to a point where exposure is possible is if you somehow convince people that they are prepared for it, or that they're ready for it, or that it's their idea to have exposure happen. So Donald Trump makes one of not the primary, but he makes a point in his political campaign that he's going to release the Epstein files. Are we to really believe that when he steps foot into office back in January, he makes a 180-degree pivot and suddenly he's like, no, just kidding? I mean, seriously, are we supposed to be that stupid? We don't understand how politically savvy this man is, that he knows how important this issue is to sane, reasonable, God-fearing people. Of course he knows, but he also knows that he can't drop 4.5 million documents on the heads of the American people who just spent the last 10 years laughing at everybody who tried to tell him what was going on. So he had to come up with a strategy. That strategy is the Streisand effect, because he's seen it play out over and over and over again. When you try to tell somebody they're not allowed to see something they're asking to see, it only increases their need to see it. And not only theirs, but everybody else's as well.
Well, there's also a bit of the we've got
Show
him
your ass,
now.
man.
Well, show your ass, but we finally got him now. Psychosis that he knows the libs have, right? It's the TDS psychosis where, well, if he's not released all 4 million of these documents, 38 hours after he stepped into the White House, it's because he's implicated. And now we must know. Now we must see it. He rope-a-doped the shit out of him. I mean, this is nothing more than the rope-a-dope. This is the Streisand effect, rope-a-dope, triangulation, all the things, 5D chess that you ever thought it might be.
But I don't understand the number of people that say that they support Trump and they're Trump supporters, and they're freaking out over the Epstein files and trying to say that he's done all these things and that all of these people are in there. And it's not true. And they're completely ignoring the fact that all of these Democrats are actually in there. And like, I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. Like, I don't know what kind of psyop is playing out, but somebody needs to like do the snap thing or say chicken or whatever it is, because they need to wake up.
It's not a psyop. It's not a psyop.
Nope.
Bondi was ignoring the victims.
We
No, she
will
was
get
not
to
ignoring
this.
the victims. No,
We
she
will
was
get to this here shortly. We're moving in a direction of addressing this point right here, because she was not ignoring the victims. Pam Bondi was in Congress today for a very specific reason. And we're going to talk about why I think she was there. But nonetheless, the Streisand effect is in full effect right now. And it was, in my estimation, after 20 years of studying politics and studying Donald Trump and the way he operates, this was planned literally from day one. The only thing, yep.
Can I show you a video that proves this theory? And it's a video of how the Democrats in 2024 under the Biden administration, how they questioned Christopher Wray on Epstein files and Epstein related things. And Christopher Wray's response, which was the correct one according to policy, and then the response from the Democrat who's like, "Oh, we understand that there's
Okay,
policy."
I get it.
By the way, I
Thank
appreciate your
you.
service,
Yeah,
Director
thank
of
you.
the FBI. Let me play this video. I got to bring it up. Just it'll give me 1 second here, because this is the key to understanding what Trump has done to these people. This is like a year and a half ago, if even that long ago. Where is it? I've got it. Streisand. What did I call it? Ray logical inconsistency, because these people are not consistent. Here we go.
Been in the news a lot lately about involvement with certain people high in politics involved. Did the FBI conduct the raid on his townhouse in New York when he was incarcerated in New York? There was a raid on his East Side townhouse.
Well, I don't know about a raid. I know we executed a number of searches in the course of our fairly extensive investigation
Can
related
you tell
to
me
Epstein.
during that search if you came across and have within the possession of the FBI tapes of him with other individuals that he might have taken in people and compromising?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything I can share related to that. I can see if there's information we could provide and maybe get back to you on it.
If there were tapes of people in prominent positions, friends of his he posed for pictures with, possibly in compromising positions, it would be, the public, I think, has a right to see those.
Well, I mean, how we handle evidence recovered in a criminal investigation has all kinds of rules that apply to it. I recognize the intense public interest in the subject, but we'd have to follow our rules. But I'm happy, like I said, I'm happy to follow up with my team on it.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate your service, and thank you for being here today.
Notice
you.
there was no claims that
you.
Christopher Wray was protecting pedophiles. There.
Except maybe he was, because,
Maybe he was. Well, so
I think there's actually a lot of evidence of that. If you think about, remember, we just found out from the Sunday drop that back in 2019, the Christopher Wray FBI had already declared that there was no global trafficking ring happening based on their evidence through their investigations. Investigations, I'll remind you, we talked about this on Monday, investigations that included his FBI, the Robert Mueller FBI, and the James Comey FBI. So using those three FBI directors and their departments, the investigations they had, they determined in 2019, no, nothing here. Nothing here.
And a lot of those documents came redacted from the Southern District of New York, because there was, I think it was Massey.
Yeah.
Masshole MaxiPad was out there complaining that when he went in to look at the files unredacted, there are still redacted files in there, and there's no way to unredact them. There's nothing there. Well, that's because they came to the FBI and the
They were
DOJ this time
sanitized.
from the Southern District of New York, and they redacted them, and there is no way to see what's underneath that redaction.
That's right.
Well, but hold on. So, this is all correct. This is all important. This is all incredibly valid. But I think the key to what happened in that exchange there was, one, it was just how cordial he was with him, right? Because Pam Bondi would not have received any. In fact, she did not receive that sort of treatment at all on the exact same topics. Though Christopher Wray, it's saying that hey, we've got policies to how we handle these things, and the policies he's alluding to is what we've talked about over and over and over again. If there is no prosecutorial or actionable information in there, meaning you can't actually use the evidence to bring a case against a target, you cannot release that information publicly. That's just that's the long-standing DOJ policy. That's not Trump or Pam Bondi or Bongino or Kash Patel protecting pedophiles. That's just the way that the Department of Justice has worked since the Department of Justice has existed.
You mean they don't usually just release a whole bunch of random tips called in by schizophrenic people that they then find are completely uncredible, and they don't release those to the public with people's names out there that were just made up stories called in because somebody's crazy?
No, they don't. And the reason why they don't do that is because because you don't want to create the situation that we are dealing with right now, where there are now about 500 dudes' names who have done nothing wrong, in the mixture of maybe like 15 or so who have, and they all have to figure out how to defend themselves. President Trump being victim number one of that.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that a tip called into the FBI hotline by somebody that's batshit crazy isn't evidence of a crime?
No, it's not.
What? Well,
It's an
according to that
allegation.
Chinese guy today, he was saying that Pam
Wait.
Bondi was lying under oath because she said there was no evidence that Trump committed any crimes. And he said, bullshit. Here's this tip called in by this batshit crazy person. This is
I
evidence
have a
of
video
crime.
of that. I have a video of that. That Chinese guy is a perfect way to put it. That Chinese guy. Let's play that, shall we?
Former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency.
Can I just stop this real quick? Just real quick. I want to stop this because the question in and of itself is just retarded. Is there evidence that President Trump ever was at a party with Jeffrey Epstein where there were underage people? You know what? People's kids went to Mar-a-Lago all the fucking time. So yes, there's evidence.
Were there.
That's the point, right? That's what this guy's trying to get. He's trying to get her to say, well, yes, Donald Trump was at parties with underage people, underage girls, and some of them were his freaking daughters. And I'm not talking about the Ashley Biden kind of party, the shower diary kind of party.
No, we're talking about like just random parties because, you know, these people all had houses in the same places, West Palm Beach and New York City. They're going to be at the same parties. It's going to happen. And people bring their kids to parties. There are underage people at parties.
That's right.
All right. Should I continue it? Is there more? It gets worse. I haven't heard the rest of this. So.
But it's very short. It gets worse.
Chinese dude Lou is just, he's one of the worst. He's almost as bad as Hirono out there in Hawaii. Almost. It's close. All right, here we go.
Claim my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please stop the clock.
Stop the clock. The legislation. This is
time.
This is ridiculous.
Time
belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath. And this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI.
Is he a first grader?
He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
Stop this. Stop this.
Stop this. Yeah.
Oh, but wait, it gets better because that person that called in that tip to the FBI also talked about in that tip that Oklahoma City bombing and saying crazy stuff and all sorts of crazy
shit. FBI investigated all this. All this stuff came out of the latest dump. The FBI investigated all this, said not credible, not credible. That person, by the way, was referred to psychiatric care 3 times as a result. This is the point. This is the entire point of this thing. That's not evidence.
We have to stay on this for a second because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the mother of the girl that guy was talking about actually released a statement not that long ago because that actually was released back in December. And if you remember, I talked about in the green room of one of our meetings, one of our shows, that we might actually be able to get the mother on the show because she actually released a statement saying, this guy's crazy. Nothing he said is true. This did not happen to my family. It did not happen to my daughter. And the only reason I wasn't able to set that interview up is because she was dealing with a death in her family. And the person that I was talking to that was talking to her is a Candace Owens fan and didn't like the things I was saying about Candace Owens. So she refused to set that conversation up for us. But yeah, that the mother of the girl that the Asian idiot over here,
Chinese.
He's
Chinese. And we're going to make sure everybody knows he might as well be CCP.
The Chinese Lou, the CCP Lou, the allegation that he's making, literally the mother of the girl has already said that didn't happen. It didn't happen. It's a lie.
Hold on a second. Is Lou himself mentioned in the Epstein files?
Oh, I don't know,
Hold
SK.
on.
Can you go look
I
it
don't know.
up?
Hold on,
Maybe we
Grits.
should look that up.
Grits TLC. We do need to look at. He's stupid. And Lou himself is in the Oh my goodness, is Lou in the Epstein files?
These people are
That
stupid.
would be poetic justice right there.
Oh.
Hold
If
on.
you
I'm
ever
gonna- I'm
wanted
gonna-
to know what
I'm gonna
poetic
ask Brock.
justice is,
I'm
that would
gonna
be right
ask
there.
Brock.
Nom,
right
you
now.
do that. SK, I want to tell you guys another story because I didn't watch the Pam Bondi testimony today. I just watched some of the clips. And honestly, I mean, I think she probably could have presented herself a little bit better, but I understand why she was as frustrated as she
I think
was.
she did great. I watched the entire thing.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that because some of the clips I saw, I feel like she could have handled herself a little bit better.
You mean narrative warfare?
Yeah,
Those
but
kind
I
of
am that's
clips?
right. But I am convinced that she went there with a very specific purpose, from the highlights that I watched today. And I don't think the purpose that she walked into that meeting with was what most of them were expecting her to do. And I think that's the reason why they got so frustrated with her. Do you guys remember back in John, the book of John, chapter 8, starting around verse 1, where it tells the story of the religious leaders and the Pharisees who throw the woman who was caught in adultery at the feet of Jesus. And then they start challenging Jesus to condemn her based on the law. Do you guys remember that story? Those of you guys in the comments, you know that story? John 8:1. In that story, Jesus ultimately ends up saying that those of you who are without sin, cast the first stone. But what happened before that is, I think, what Pam Bondi was there to do in this congressional hearing today. If you remember in the scripture, what did Jesus do before he spoke? He knelt down and he started writing in the sand. You guys remember that part of the story? It's kind of strange that the way that the Bible would describe it, Jesus kneels down and he starts writing in the sand. Now, the Bible doesn't tell you what he was writing. It doesn't tell you what he was saying or what was, it just says he knelt down and was writing in the sand. But then it goes on to tell you that as soon as he said, those of you without sin cast the first stone, old and young alike dropped their rocks and left. So I have a theory, and I think there's a lot of theories out there of what Jesus was writing in the sand. My theory is that he knelt down and started writing the names of the mistresses of every one of those religious leaders in the sand and basically looking at them and saying, you, that's her name, Mary. You, that's her name, Linda. And I'm convinced that's exactly what she went into Congress to do today, because every one of the clips that I watched of her, as soon as they started throwing accusations at her, she just looked down at her piece of paper and was like, huh, well, that's weird. Because didn't you take a bunch of money from Reid Hoffman? I think you did. Yeah. And by the way, didn't you, Thomas Massey, weren't you one of the only two people that voted against a piece of legislation that would have outlawed revenge porn? Didn't you do that? Did anyone else notice that seemed to be what her goal there today was? It was to point out the hypocrisy. It seems to me like that's what she was there to do, because the truth is nobody's going to remember this hearing except the clips where she was battling with these people and she was pointing out the fact that none of them cared at all about the Epstein files until Donald Trump started using the Streisand effect to get them to care about it. And then that Streisand effect got the American people to care about it. And now that the American people care about it, they're starting to look back and say, hey, maybe those conspiracy theorists from 8 years ago weren't that crazy after all. Maybe there is, in fact, a global child pedophile ring happening at our global elites. But I don't think we're quite there yet. I don't think we're there yet. I still think there's a little bit left to do. So, Nom, can you pull up? And I'm sorry for taking over the train of this conversation.
Excellent. Keep going, dude. You're doing great.
All right. So pull up. I want to find this particular clip. It is the one of Lauren Boebert.
Is it in the thing?
It's
in the chat box.
It is. Where's it at? I need it. I need the Lauren Boebert. I know there's a Lauren Boebert one in here. I know there.
Did you not rename it?
Guys, be patient with us.
What's this? I'll stop it if this isn't it.
We need this clip.
Oh, it's not going to come up.
I've got
Which
it.
clip? Which
you
clip
guys
is it?
talk for
Because
a
I put a
second. I
bunch
know
of
that I
clips in
have it.
there, and I could have put the same one in there and labeled it something
Oh,
different.
you know what? I don't think I put it in here. Give me 2
Nope.
seconds and I'm going to put it in here for you guys because there's more to this story. This story is not just a story about a global child sex ring happening. It's not just a story about Hollywood elitists who are involved or media moguls who are involved. This is much, much bigger than this. Oh, by the way, while this is loading, did you guys see the passport that was just released? You want to pull that up, Nom? Do you have that here?
That is 100% real. It was posted by Anna Paulina Luna, and the file number is in the corner. I saw your text. I guess they all came through at once. I don't know.
Yeah. So, and I've got that too. I'm going to drop that in here also real quick because
I've
have
got the
it.
passport.
Okay,
I've
pull the
got it.
passport up.
Well, I mean, it's not in the Dropbox. I got to move it over there.
I
Get
can
it.
put it in there.
Hold on.
I'm going to
I got
do
it.
it
It's going
right
right now.
Okay, folks, bear with us as
Image
we do this on the fly.
5964.
This
Image
is
5964. Give me a second. I got it.
This is how the sausage is made, folks. This is how it's done. We're doing this on the fly. We know the stuff is out there, but we didn't quite have it staged properly. So look at this. This is a passport that was released as part of the latest Epstein drop. Do you notice what country this passport is for? It's a passport of Jeffrey Epstein using an alias. And I can't really see what that alias is. What is it? Marius Robert? Is that what it says?
Yes.
Well, the last name, the surname is Fortelny, and the given name is Marius Robert. So Marius Robert Fortelny from Austria. It's an Austrian passport.
Austrian. I thought this was a Saudi Arabian passport.
It
Nope,
says
Austria.
Saudi Arabian.
Yeah, it says Saudi Arabia.
No, it says Austria at the bottom. Look at the top page there. It says nationality Austria.
Mm,
Does that
Hold
say
on.
that he's
Yeah,
gonna
but it
pull
was
this up.
issued by Saudi Arabia, right?
yeah, I think
No.
this is. Hold
No,
on.
hold on. I've got the front of it too. It's an Austrian
Saudi
passport.
Arabian. It says.
I've got the front of it. Republic of Austria.
Oh well, never mind. But nonetheless,
It's
this
an
guy
Austrian-
had.
it's an
This guy
Austrian passport.
had aliases. He had random names he was using. He was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I thought this was more evidence of my theory that he was involved in the 9/11 planning, but I could be wrong about that.
Very easily could have been. I mean, this was it doesn't have any dates on it, like when it expired, that I can see. If there is an expiry on it, I don't know. It's not on this page. Born in 54. I don't know what Wien is. Wien white, WIEN, and German, Austrian, whatever that language is. I'm sure it's
I have
German.
no idea. I could ask my kid. My kid speaks German.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, she learned it in school. She didn't learn it from me.
I was gonna say, like, we had Spanish, French, and German, and nobody took German because it seemed like it was really hard.
That's why she took it, because people said it was hard.
Eins, feins, drei.
Yeah,
She's
that doesn't make
weird.
sense. All right, come on. There it
Okay.
is. All right. So the screen recording 202, pull that up. This is Lauren Boebert. And folks, it's important that you understand that there is a process playing out here. The Streisand effect is allowing more and more exposure. People
Here
are
it comes.
starting to understand that there's more truth coming,
But
and
it
we're
wasn't
getting there, but we're not there yet. Go.
only the trafficking of young girls, as the narrative suggests, but there are code words that suggest Jeffrey Epstein and his associates could maybe even be engaging in some sort of consumption. Is that human consumption? Are there code words? There's a lot of talk of beef jerky. There's a restaurant called The Cannibal where the owner is listed in some of these documents. Now, that isn't a restaurant that is just proclaiming to serve human meat by any means, but some of this just, it seems that there's a lot of conspiracies that make you wonder. And I saw more emails about torture, and these coded conversations still have a very clear topic that torture was big. It was a big driver for them. And these were sick people doing very, very sick things. As you mentioned, there are many women who are involved in this. You have folks that were working directly for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Right. And a lot of these women are the ones that are sending emails saying, here's one 10 years old, 11 years old, 9 years old. And it's just very disturbing to see the women who are involved in this as well.
Oh, look, you had an auto scroll. That's racist. That's so racist, right? That
Oh my
racist auto scroll.
So
Look at your racist
racist.
auto scroll.
No, I'm getting ready to drop another video in here because I think it fits perfectly. Guys, The Streisand effect has been in place since the minute that Trump took office again. There was clearly a decision that was made early on that if we want people to be open to even hearing this information, we're going to have to come up with a way to get them curious enough that they start demanding it. Otherwise, if he would have dropped 4.5 million documents on the heads of the American people who just a few years ago thought this was all conspiracy theory, they would have been laughed out of the country.
Yeah, no one would have read them. I mean, the left isn't reading them anyway at all. I mean, they're doing searches for names and counts. Like, who was that clown that said that? Oh, it was Jamie Raskin, who said that Trump's name is mentioned in the unredacted files 1 million times.
1 million times.
Yeah, and then they had to come back and explain. Well, I searched for Donald Trump, Donald Duck, McDonald's. So anywhere Donald showed up and all of that stuff. And at the end of the day, who the hell cares? Because what he actually found was he exposed, because Trump wasn't emailing in any of those files, not one that I think we've seen.
I haven't seen a single email from Donald Trump. I don't even know if he knows
Donald
how
Trump
to email.
or to Donald Trump. That's a good point. I doubt he even knows how to email. But what they exposed is that, yes, guys, there is an awful lot of people, a lot of Democrats, a lot of deep state actors who spent a lot of time talking to Jeffrey Epstein about how to get Trump. That's what you were reading in that, is how do we take out President Trump? How do we get rid of him? Because he hated him. That's the story. That's what you found, Jamie Raskin. Congratulations for proving our point.
Well,
Jeffrey Epstein was a central figure in the deep state designed to take President Trump and orchestrate a long-standing coup against President Trump.
That's right. That's right. Oh, and Steve Bannon. How many of us, can we talk about this for just a second? And we're going to wrap here in a couple of minutes, but
I'll post the NGO videos on X. I did not, because I was saving it for this. But
no,
we got time.
Do you have to go?
No,
we need to get to the NGO stuff, because this has been SK's baby for.
You can talk about Bannon. That's
well,
fine.
we can do it very quick. So yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, but I basically called for the expulsion of Steve Bannon from the MAGA movement after finding the clip or the text messages that he was sending Jeffrey Epstein. He'd been sending him for years. They'd been engaged in a long-standing back and forth, developing strategies that not just included the rehabilitation of Epstein's image after he was accepted a plea deal back in 2008, but it went much further than that. We know now that he was actively working with Jeffrey Epstein to develop a strategy to strip Donald Trump of presidential immunity protections to help them indict him. That's what it showed. That's what the conversation showed. But then I found a text message of him talking with Jeffrey Epstein, where Jeffrey Epstein reached out and said, "Hey, can you help us pull Jared Kushner into a discussion to start engaging on some of the things they wanted to do over in Europe?" And Steve Bannon's response was, "Why would I do that?" And then he went on to say, if I were to pull in Kushner, it would make it seem as though Donald Trump is the center of this movement and not me.
Yeah, didn't you know Steve Bannon is the MAGA movement? You can't take Steve Bannon out of the MAGA movement. He is the MAGA movement, guys.
Well, there's a whole lot of stuff that we've got to do some research on. I'm starting to see a lot of information come out about Steve Bannon's relationship with Epstein and Russia. There's a whole lot of stuff that we have to explore.
And Stephen Halper.
And Stephen Halper.
I think Stephen Halper. I think we need to be very, 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 very careful here. I think you need to be very careful because the reason I'm saying this, I want to correct the record a little bit, because the text conversation, it was Jeffrey Epstein was the one who floated the concept of how to strip President Trump of his presidential immunity. As far as I saw in what was released, Bannon didn't respond other than say, in quotes, or quote, "will pull." That was his response. It wasn't a back and forth over that topic. So we need to be very careful here.
Fair.
I want to know more, because it looks shady, it looks bad, but I want to do the Bongino rule on this because I think there's more context that we don't have. Understand that the people who want to take down the MAGA movement, take down Trump, are not going to give us the entire story.
That's true.
I think there's more there. I think there's more context because it's broken up, dude. It's like random. You know, there's no consistent stream of a conversation. So I want to be very careful.
That's true. I will leave room for the possibility, and I'm seeing people point this out. I'm willing to leave room for the possibility that Steve Bannon was there for a reason other than what appears to exist within the messages that were released. I'm willing to entertain the possibility that he was there gathering information and sharing it back with the Trump team. I'm willing to at least make room for that possibility. They're going to go nuts now that Trump ordered the full release of every FBI.
Maybe breaks news on our show every freaking episode. She broke news on Monday, and it was the fact that they released the sheriff statement about Trump calling in about Epstein. Mimi's breaking news every single episode. Thanks, Mimi. This is fantastic.
That's because Mimi is one of those people that she's been along for the ride from the very beginning. So she's either brought this skill with her or she's learned it along the way, but she's a pretty damn good researcher herself. She sends us a lot of really good stuff. So thanks, Mimi. Keep it going. All right, let's get over to the NGO stuff because SK has been like bugging us all day to talk about this, and it's important.
Well, and let's ask the chat because I took a couple of screen recordings. I watched the whole hearing yesterday about the NGOs and the foreign money funding all these NGOs, and the 2 clips that I got are wild, and I think that it will help everyone explain or understand more the things that I've been trying to explain. So in the chat, if you guys want to watch these 2 clips, one of them's a little long, it's like 5 minutes, and one of them's like 2 minutes long. If you guys want to watch these clips, we can watch them. Put yes if you want to watch them, no if you don't, because if you don't, I can post them on X. I didn't post them because I wanted to save it for you guys.
Let's do one of them, and you need to sort of tell us. So there's a long one and a short one. I got to see if this long one, it's almost half a gig. I got to see if this thing will even upload, frankly. But
Okay.
we'll try to upload the short one. If the long one, if it doesn't upload, we may have to cut it up and
Well,
come
the
back.
short
to it another
one
day.
is better after the long one because it also went in that order. They were
All right,
actually
then then let's try the big one first. If it doesn't, then we may have to cut this up and do it maybe on Friday.
okay.
Okay, all right, we'll try. So you got to fill the space while this uploads. It's half a gig.
I'll
It's a big file.
take a 5-minute video because if we get this to play, I'm going to go downstairs and grab another Diet Mountain Dew because I'm getting thirsty up here. I already finished this one. It's empty. I need
Oh my
another
goodness.
one. Is it going to work?
I sent it to you. It's comment. Nope. Maybe PatriotDad. Maybe you could try. Try the
It's in
try
the
to upload it.
Dropbox.
I know it is, but it's not. It's too
No,
big.
I was
it's
telling him it's in there.
you should
okay.
have NGO. There's a half a gig. There's one that's
It's
a little
the
bit more than half a gig.
It's the top
See
one.
if you can get it to run. See if you can get it to play.
All right, I'll see if I can get it to play. No, hold on. I'm on photos. I need to go to videos. Where is 51? Why does this keep opening up to? It should open up directly into the folder that I'm in. This is dumb that it doesn't
Right?
do that.
It's so annoying.
It takes me back to the root of it for some reason. All
Yeah.
right, what's it called? NGO? Is it the hearing yesterday or the NGO meeting
It's
yesterday?
the bigger one.
I
It's the
can't
big
see
one.
the size.
It's the hearing yesterday
Okay.
one.
All right, let's try this. See if it
yeah.
works. Come on. Do your thing. I don't think it's going to work.
Is
It
it
hasn't.
too long?
Yeah, well, it hasn't rejected it yet.
I mean, if I need to, I can cut them up and we can do it Friday.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
Friday. We
nope.
may have to
Your
do that.
device is having trouble sharing your video. It's too big. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. See, what I found is that you can maybe do like a minute and a half, 2 minutes tops on videos.
Try
and
the
it's-
just try the 2-minute one because
All
I
right,
think
we'll try
it's
the other one.
important for everyone to just understand how serious this is and the fact that not a single person is talking
Hold on.
about
Listen,
it.
let's answer this. Nemo, listen, you may be new to the chat, maybe new to the thing. Literally, none of us are saying that these things are fake. We're saying that your interpretations of what they're saying are fake. Okay?
No, Nemo is a troll.
Pause. I know Nemo's a troll, but we're gonna drag Nemo a
Let's
little
do
bit.
that.
So if MAGA think the Epstein files are fake, are they saying their glorious Saint Trump admin released false information?
Whoever said they were fake?
Who said
Who
they're
said
fake?
they were fake?
Oh,
Who
they
said they're
think
fake?
that Donald Trump saying it was a hoax thing, and they think that that's like literal. What he's saying is
no,
the way that they're
listen,
trying to use
So
the
you
files
are.
against
Who is
him is a
MAGA? Who's
hoax.
MAGA? MIGA. Who's
Make
MAGA?
Israel great again. These people are saying,
Oh.
yeah, they're.
So they're wait.
But I don't
they're
even know what
saying-
MAGA is.
MAGA, I'm confused. So Nemo and NMO, can you help us with this? I want to stay on this topic for a second. So make Israel great again. Are you saying that they're suggesting that the Epstein files are entirely fake, that they're all just made up? Is that what they're saying? Because I haven't seen that.
No, this dude is basically saying that Trump is owned by Israel. He's saying that all of us are owned by Israel. This is a black pill loser. That's who it is. Brainwashed hive mind. Hide it and say you so you are big. It's a groiper. It's a groiper, Candyland, black pill.
Yeah.
Black pill, whatever, whatchamacallit, who's probably never read a single one of the Epstein documents at all. Like not one of them. It is out there reading fake AI generated memes and calling them, I'm educated. I know about the Epstein files.
See, why do we say stupid things like this? You realize that Epstein didn't even own the
Flying
Lolita
on the
Express.
Lolita Express with the Clintons. He literally did not.
He was
What in the
never on the
hell?
plane with the Clintons, and he
Hey.
never got on the Lolita Express, you freaking
All right,
potato.
you know what?
All right,
Hey,
we're
let's
playing the
mute this
video.
guy.
We're moving
Yeah,
on.
let's mute
We're
this
moving
guy.
on. What a
Hey,
freaking
can we get one of
potato.
the moderators to get rid of this, deal with this clown? We got no time for these clowns. See ya.
I think I can do it. Put them in, ban the user and delete their comment. You're out of here. All right, let's play the
Thank you,
video.
Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate that.
Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate that. Thank you to my colleague, Mr. Yakim. That was quite the exchange.
Why is there
Appreciate
nobody
it.
there?
For everyone who's watching. I'll just get right
Nobody
into it.
was there.
Mr.
No
Walter,
one.
maybe you
The-
can help
they didn't
clarify
even
this for
stay
us
in there
then,
during this.
and help us with what my colleague was asking. So from what I've heard so far, America's enemies can funnel as much cash into the nonprofit sector as they want. So let's go through this hypothetical scenario and let's just see if I'm right or I'm wrong, and please tell me so. Theoretically, is it possible for Xi Jinping himself to entirely fund an American 501c3, I'm not done yet, by donating it through a donor-advised fund without the public ever seeing his name on that C3's Form 990?
Absolutely.
Just again, so it is possible that Xi Jinping himself could do something like that.
There's no legal barrier whatsoever.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walter. I appreciate
Now
it.
listen to that.
As
You
a
can turn it
follow-up,
off now.
Mr. Dubinsky, is
You
anyone
don't
within the
have to
United
let
States
it play.
government currently tasked
But
with looking into these covert
let that
influence
sink in.
operations?
Let that sink in for a second. Xi Jinping himself could be funding U.S. NGOs, the ones that are fomenting a color revolution in this country, the ones that are lobbying Congress, the ones that are funding campaigns for these lawmakers. The lawmakers, by the way, that some of them didn't even show up, including one of the Oklahoma people. They didn't even show up. And when they did, they came in and they asked their question and they left. There
Yeah.
was no one in that room. There were like a handful of reporters with a computer out. There was no one in there. Not a single person's talking about this. And right before that 5-minute long video, it's the exchange that happened right before this guy. This is at the very end. And first of all, every Democrat that came in and asked questions, they pivoted to something about Pam Bondi because she was in Senate. All that stuff was going on. Everybody was paying attention to that. They pivoted and talked about Pam Bondi. They talked about Epstein. They talked about Trump and the plane. They talked about anything and everything they could talk about except the actual topic, which was foreign money funding NGOs and how we can fix it. They were actually talking about solutions and no one was there to hear it. And right before that, they were talking about that Swiss guy that I say Weiss or whatever, but they say it like they're Swiss when they say it in Congress. That guy has a nonprofit in this country that's named after him. It's his foundation. He donates to all these nonprofits through NGOs. And one of the witnesses that was there, the only one that was a Democrat witness, is from Public Citizen. And his foundation literally gets money from this guy, this foreign guy. And they straight up ask him, they said, okay, earlier in this testimony, you said under oath that your organization doesn't receive foreign funding. You said, not to my knowledge. And he's like, this guy's a huge funder. So is Soros. So is Ford Foundation, MacArthur, every bad foundation you can imagine, every bad NGO. This guy is financing and participating in the Tesla takedown No Kings, the lawfare against Donald Trump. They've filed some of the lawsuits against Donald Trump. And the guy straight up said, nope, we're not taking foreign funds. And they said, well, what about the Swiss guy that we've been talking about this entire meeting? And he says, but that's not a foreign, and money doesn't come from a foreign person because it comes through a U.S. NGO through donor advised funds because it's his foundation that's registered in the United States.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, the reason why nobody showed up for that hearing is because this is one of the deep, dirty little secrets, just like their ability to insider trade. This is how these politicians are getting rich, right? This is how you have Ilhan Omar go from, $50,000 to $65,000 net worth in like 2018 to $30 million net worth in 2024 because her husband started an equity firm that took money from NGOs to do work in Africa. Right. They are all I don't know if this is like part of their training material when they get to Congress and say, hey, we're going to pay you shit, but here's how you get rich. Go start an NGO and have your wife or your brother-in-law or your sister or your grandchildren or your stepkids or whatever run the NGO. And then you're going to run, 85% overhead on that NGO. And you're going to donate the other 15% of it's going to go to Color Revolution over there. That's how you get rich in DC.
But it's worse than that because the public citizen guy, when I was looking back again at the things that they've done and I was looking at their open secrets page, they spent almost as much money on lobbying as AIPAC. They spent like almost 3 million and AIPAC spent like 3 million and some change. Yeah. That's what we're talking about here. These are the people that are the Soros people and all of these terrible organizations. They talked about Roy Singham a lot in that hearing and the CCP and how literally the CCP is funding these organizations that are taking people to Cuba, training them, teaching them about the Cuban Revolution. They're now passing around in their protest groups the mini guerrilla warfare manual, teaching these people about urban guerrilla warfare so that they can then go out to these protests and try to cause major problems.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a lot.
We got anything else we want to do tonight?
No, that's a lot.
SK, I think we need to expand this some more. We'll get the 5-minute video together.
It needs to be like a whole episode, and maybe we can have Data Republican come back to talk about it.
When's Lisa coming back on again?
I think she said she could come Friday, maybe.
Okay. All right. Let's plan on Friday if we can. All right, folks. I think that's it for us tonight. I hope you got something out of this. The Streisand effect is in full effect. I need to come up with a better way to say that. It doesn't sound good. The Streisand phenomenon is in full effect. And make no mistake, it was absolutely planned this way. Donald Trump, I'm convinced, fully understood that he was going to take a ton of arrows going down this path, but it was necessary. Oh, there was one more. And here's why it was necessary. This is why we're going to wrap with this. This is why it was necessary. All right. Because several years ago, this never would have happened. You would never be able to see a left-wing content creator making a video like this one ever. It just would not have happened.
Are we all seeing what's being revealed? Are we all paying attention to the things that are coming out from these files? Because I'm worried that I'm going to have to try and explain to somebody what I'm hearing and seeing, and I'm going to sound like I'm experiencing psychosis because I feel like I'm experiencing psychosis. I can't even sleep. I'm so fucking angry. I'm petrified. This is some of the most vile, most demonic shit I have ever even fathomed. Like, it is unfathomable. And I feel like people are not paying attention. I feel like we are underreacting. I feel like I'm very worried that
I'm going to pause this
when
real
we
quick.
are exposed to such distressing.
Yep.
This is so incredible because this is literally this is exactly what my wife was saying in 2017 and 2018 when we were going down the fall of the cabal, all of that stuff. I mean, where this is what we were watching. This is precisely
where we were
what
9
Mrs.
years ago.
Nom was saying. I feel like I'm in some weird psychosis. This is really messing with my head. I can't wrap my head around this. This is amazing. It's amazing.
And now you have young ladies who are leftists are now being exposed to the reality that their idols growing up, the people that they have been forced to love because of pop culture, are the ones behind it. I think we should play the
But-
rest of it or not.
But,
We'll stop there.
but wait a minute though, because
I can bring it back
said,
up.
you
That's
know,
fine.
I learned about all this stuff a decade ago and I went through the same stuff and I'm like, I can't do this. And then it's like, okay, we're just not going to think about this anymore. And then it's all like coming back. So does your wife kind of feel that way too? Like it's all coming back up. So she's like, oh my God, now I'm going through all this again. Like I want to pretend like it doesn't exist.
It's a different experience now.
No. So Mrs. Nom is much more interested in like pop culture-y like stuff than sort of the deep, but I was sort of dragging her down this path to understand all this stuff, and all of my friends were going deep into understanding all this because we're excited, you know, Trump and then Russia collusion and, you know, Q and QAnon and all that stuff's coming out, and it's all fun and games, and we're all having a good time with it. But no, she's actually way more interested in like pop culture-y stuff than you know, this political news. Yeah.
But how does it sit with her knowing that some of the people that have been hoisted upon society, you know, like the Jay-Z's of the world, are the ones that are behind this?
Yeah, no, she hates all of them. I mean,
Okay,
she
good.
has no. She thinks they're all gross.
They
They're
are
all
gross.
disgusting. Yeah.
And with that, folks, I hope you had a good show. Understand that last video we just showed you is the result of a long thought out, very well implemented, very difficult strategy that's going to require just a little bit more patience from the rest of us because we're not quite there yet. We are not quite there yet until people fully accept the reality that the folks that they have been voting for and watching on TV and reading in People magazine are the most disgusting human beings on the planet. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. All right. See you all Friday.
Good night,
Later.
guys.
Oh, no. Hold on. We start over. What do I do?
Bullets and
Okay.
the punches
See you
and
guys.
the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcome should be.